True North Reviews, True North Reviews, True North Reviews.
Hey there, welcome to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are discussing Apple, not the tech company and how they refuse to announce their new iPhone, not Tim Cook either, although he's the guy you should be upset with for that delayed announcement. Instead, we are discussing A.G. Cook and his musical album, Apple. A.G. Cook is a record producer under the label PC Music, who you might be more familiar with his work for Charlie XCX. He, along with Dylan Brady of 100 gecs, have been handling a majority of the production of Charlie's most recent and acclaimed projects, also dating back to the mixtape of Number One Angel, but recently these guys have been at the forefront of futuristic pop soundscapes. AG, in particular, really just pushing the envelope as someone who is inventive, forward-thinking, and what many would predict is drawing up the blueprint for future generations of pop artists. Now, for such high praise this early into the review, I don't want to exaggerate things here. I want to be honest. I was deterred from listening to AG's debut record, 7G, which dropped earlier this year. At nearly 160 minutes long, I can tolerate lengthy albums, maybe more than what most people can, but with the teaser tracks on there, I wasn't even bothered to listen to the entirety of that project. Maybe it was too experimental, maybe I just didn't have the undevoted attention that was required to sit through something that felt like a full-length film. Either way, it's clear that Cook is interested in testing his audience for how much they can handle in one sitting. The sophomore record is here though, Apple, a quick turnaround. This is far more accessible and easier to digest in my opinion. I mean, much like the fruit itself. But the music, hey, there's elements that you can maybe tie to a certain trend or style in 2020. Take the single Oh Yeah, which has very crisp acoustic guitar strumming, absolutely impeccable production on here. The genre this track reminds me of, though, is like a poppy singer-songwriter of the future. This is what I imagine Ed Sheeran would be doing in the year 2099. Very effectively, though, Oh Yeah balances the traditional pop song structures with subtle, trippy, and alternative elements. I say subtle because it's clearly the most straightforward pop song on the record, but get used to the non-conventions because the end of Oh Yeah only teases the wackiness that's in store for the rest of Apple. The subsequent track, Xxoplex, lives up to its strange title and instrumental, but not like your average instrumental. This is like a futuristic sports chant you'd hear at a hockey game with the squeaking and squawking synthesizers. Another subdued holy outro on this cut, like the song Oh Yeah, but the twists and turns only keep coming. The track Animals makes me think of Julian Casablancas on Acid, and if he wanted to rewrite Radiohead's The Bends. I mean, you have the acoustic guitar, the vocal shrieks, the eerie synthesizers, very similar to any Strokes album, but for some reason I'm thinking of Radiohead. Structurally, Animals has one tranquil section followed by another creepy passage as well. The tune alternates in the space of soothing and unsettling. That dynamic is something I really enjoy on this record, actually. It's almost unpredictable in a way, too. It's unfortunate because the next cut, Airhead, as much as it keeps me on my toes, it scares the living crap out of me, maybe not in the best of ways. It is the master mix I have the biggest issue with. The EQ on there is done so haphazardly. The percussive skirting at the beginning of the song, it is so blaringly loud, it honestly makes my ears want to bleed. Thankfully, the rest of the mixing on the record is not nearly as harsh. It is still distinct and forceful when it needs to be, but also reserved and peaceful at times. The song Haunted, acting as the heavenly bridge piece to the second half of the record, some might find it overly simplistic and repetitive, but this deathly, eerie hum only sets the tone for the rest of Apple, in my opinion. Beautiful Superstar also elects to slow things down with its strained guitar, still has a catchy hook, if you're at all concerned about hooks. Now, moving moving forward, a couple highlights appear in the final stretch of tracks, Jumper being one that has an incredible vocal contribution from Nomak in its chorus. The style of singing is much along the lines of like mid-2000s Blue October. With that in mind, I'm more so glad that the collaboration even panned out between Nomak and AG. The last time I remember the two being on the same song together, they blessed us with one of the best pop singles of 2019, in my opinion. Charlie XCX is Gone. The other highlight I want to point out on Apple for a bit of a weird reason is Stargon. I find the synthesizers on here are like buzzing bees, but instead of swatting them away, you'll want to welcome them into your ear canal because they're happy bees and they aren't going to sting you or anything. They aren't going to harm you. Don't worry. Not the greatest simile in the world, but hopefully you get the point. Now, Apple starts great, it finishes strong, but I can't help but to feel that the middle portion of this record is a letdown. There is nothing really much in the way of melodic or textural elements that keep me on the edge of my seat or interested. Instead, listeners are greeted with what sounds like a weightless and directionless B-side to Charlie XCX's How I'm Feeling Now. That happens on the cut The Darkness. For sure, that is one of the weaker moments on here, along with Airhead and Haunted, but Apple altogether is easily one of the more unorthodox albums for me to praise this year. It's off the beaten path, and that's not to say that experimental music is automatically superior to mainstream music in any way. I think it's more of a result of me personally hearing what sounds like the same album repackaged and served to me over and over again this year. So maybe this record, Apple, was the change I needed to reignite that passion for something different or out of the ordinary. Maybe I was falling into this trap of specific criteria and checklists to get a higher score in the ratings on this channel. But I am confident giving this AG album a 7 out of 10. It is getting a recommendation from me. Now I'd love to hear and know what weird, wacky, and wonderful albums you've been listening to this year. Make sure you sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what those are. Tell me what you think of this music while you're at it. If you agree, disagree, I'm here to engage with you guys. If you'd like to leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town, I'd appreciate that as always. Thanks for watching, and have a rockin' day.